Let's take a minute and make sure that we have all of our components before we begin assembly of this implicit competition unit. Now, we get the frame, we get the base with 2 longer pieces and 3 smaller short pieces. We also will get the bungee cord and the center working mechanism called the competitor here. Nuts and bolts and screws and all that stuff for putting all these pieces together. You'll receive your pitching sticks as well. And for this competition unit, you're going to receive the motor, you're going to receive the back net, and all of the components to actually attach it to the main frame, which would be 2 24-inch extension bars, and then a stabilization bar for the very back of this net and black pad. Now, if you have all of these components, you're ready to begin the assembly of this implicit competition unit. I'd like to begin by just loosely bolting the base together. We have 3 short cross pieces that are color-coded and 2 longer pieces that are color-coded as well. And I'll go ahead and do a little preliminary work here on these to get this thing set aside, and then we'll attach the main frame to this base. Now, I've simply loosely bolted these together. I'm going to set them over to the side until I get the frame deployed. The second thing we're going to do is deploy the frame. And it's pretty easy. We're just going to take this banana shape and we're going to put one of the couplers at the top and one of the couplers at the bottom, and we're going to press down and spin outwardly at the exact same time. Takes a little pressure. And I want to make sure my holes are lined up. I'll bolt this together, tighten those down, and then we'll actually put it to the base. Now that our bolts are secure and the frame is in its rightful position, we're going to attach the base and this frame together. Now there's one little note here, one little key that we need to do is make sure that the rubber bushings are facing upward when we attach this frame the way that I'm actually going to show you how to attach it to the base. We want to find the color codes on this base that's loosely bolted together and put the color codes to the holes that are at the very bottom with the rubber pieces upward. That's one. That's the second one. And you'll notice that the thing has lots of play in it, and that's okay. It needs to be that way for right now. We're going to put our lock nuts on these 5/16 bolts, and then we're going to tighten everything down in its rightful place. Once those 2 bolts secure the frame and the base together, we're ready to make sure that the base is properly aligned, and then we're going to tighten down the cross pieces now. And once that's finished, we'll be ready to actually put our sticks in this particular piece. Now, that completes the frame and the base assembly. And all we like now is putting the sticks on this piece before we put the motor assembly on the top. One of the easiest parts of assembly is putting the sticks on. So I went ahead and put 5 of the sticks on the frame, and all we like is 1 more stick. We're going to take the stick, stick it through the hole in the rubber bushing, put our cotter key in, and we'll be ready to put the motor system on this frame just in a minute. We'll stick it down through the hole, put our cotter key on, pull it down snug, and then that completes the stick formation and the assembly of putting the sticks on this particular frame. Now, the sticks, you have 4 short sticks and 2 long sticks, and they form the rectangle that's the primary shape of this V-Flex pitching system. So I think we're in pretty good shape here and ready to put the motor system on. The next step of the assembly is attaching the motor to the frame. We want to be on the side of the sticks when we put this motor on the frame. We're going to take our 2 color-coded bars and we're going to attach them to the 2 color-coded holes on the top. But first I need to stick these 2 bars through the second square on these nets corresponding to these holes. So you can see we've stuck those through that net, and now all we're going to do is just turn them up, and I do have some nuts and bolts for attaching these. There are rubber bushings. I'm going to put a rubber bushing under this bar, a rubber bushing under the other bar, and then bolt it to the frame. That's 1. That's number 2. Then I'll just take my lock nuts and put those on and tighten those down. Just a couple of 7/16 wrenches, a little tightening here. Now, once we've secured the motor on top, we need to put our protection bar across the front to keep the ball from hitting the motor and tearing the motor apart. So I have that bar. We have a color code for those as well. And I'm just going to take out the nuts and bolts and the 2 rubber bushings again that actually give us a little protection from the shock of the ball. We're going to tighten those down, and that will actually attach the motor to the frame. The final piece of the assembly is the competitor. It's our bungee cord with our sticks and our ball and our attachment for the base. And once it's attached, we'll be ready to use this piece. So we're going to take the carabiner and just hook it to a little hook that we've placed on the motor. So it just hangs there, and when the motor's turned on, it'll begin to spin. Now, this part, we're going to take the knobs, we're going to remove those knobs, and we're going to attach it to the base and just tighten them back down, and that'll give us a little play and some spinning capabilities for our bungee cord. Okay, they're both in the hole, so I'm just going to tighten them down. So, she's tight, got some play, looks pretty good right there right now. I'm going to show you how to turn the motor on, how it functions and all that stuff just in a minute. But before I do, one final little tip I want to give you. There's not a lot of tolerance in the bungee cord when you first get this thing. So, we just want to make sure that the weights that we have on the bottom are not touching the bars. If they are, all we want to do is just stretch the bungee cord a little bit and give it a little flex, and it should work just fine. We'll just once I flex it like that, it's ready to be used. So I will take a little time now and show you how to use the motor system. A couple of notes on the motor system. We'll just quickly go through the components. Want to remove the bungee cord, and then just discuss the battery. The battery is designed to last for about 6 to 8 hours on a full charge, and that's pretty good. It may mean that you charge it nightly, and that'll be fine. But it also runs off of electricity. If your battery doesn't work one day, you can always run a cord to it, and it'll work off of a cord. But one of the key factors about the battery is make sure it's in the on position when you are charging this battery. So I'm going to turn it on, and then I'm going to plug it into the controller that gives it its functioning capacity. So now let's talk just for a second about the controller. The controller has a toggle switch and an on and off switch as well that controls the variable speed. So we want to turn it on. You should see a red light when it's in the on position. If the battery's not dead, you should actually see that red light. Now, if you want to change the direction of the spin, you simply move the toggle up or down. And if you want to change the speed of the spin, you just simply turn the knob. Now you can turn the system off from this knob, but I like to do that, and I also like to turn the battery off every night as well. So when we close it down, there's some foam here at the top that compresses it and helps absorb some of the shock that's there. And then right before we go back to using the system, we want to make sure we put our bungee cord back around the box, and this keeps the shock from trying to want to open the top of the box. So now we're actually ready to put the netting system on, and we're almost ready to actually use this particular piece. We're now at the final stages of the assembly, and all we have to do is put a couple of extension bars to the main frame and attach it to our catch net here in the back with our black pad on, and we're actually ready to use the system. So I went ahead and attached the one to the one side. We're going to take a another bolt and nut and use our color codes. And we'll tighten this piece down and we'll be ready to put our net on. The two extension bars are now attached to the main frame. So I'm going to grab the net. And I want to make sure that the black pad has a little sticker on it that says back. So we want this away from the device itself, because we want the ball to actually hit the net first and the pad second. So we want to color code here as well and just put our extra frame over that. And then we're going to put our nuts and bolts on there and tighten those down as well. All right, we're going to tighten that down. And tighten this one. And then for the very last thing, our support bar. Our support bar will simply attach with a couple of bolts right there, go back down to the ground, and it'll give this entire mechanism its support. So there are two color-coded holes here, two color-coded holes right there. We want to line those up, put our nuts and our bolts in this particular spot as well, and we'll be ready to go. There's one. And there's two, and man, I'm excited. It's been a long time coming, you know, getting this piece ready for market, and there's so much excitement here at V-Flex right now. It's hard to explain, but this is a true innovative product that's going to change the way pitchers actually compete and see how good they can really get, you know, competing against an objective trainer. So I'll go ahead and finish tightening those down just in a minute, but for now, again, it's pretty easy assembly. Just follow the instructions, follow your little video that we've had here. And if you do have any questions, you can always call, and there'll be somebody on the support line, or you can actually reach me directly, and I'll help you. I'll walk you through the process, and that completes the assembly of the V-Flex implicit training piece here, and we're excited for you.